What is up, guys? Today we are going to be working on the Vette again and hopefully try and get as much of it done as possible. Right now I'm going to assemble the rear end. I'm going to put everything back to how it's going to be. I started wet sanding this rear deck lid a little bit last night and it was taking quite a while. Honestly, I spent probably like about an hour on this thing solid and it's pretty close, but I only got to it with 1500. I didn't even get to 2000 and then from there 3000 grit. I've never been through this process from start to finish. I really just helped George with Frank's car for a little bit, but I don't really remember exactly how long it took him to do it, but I know that this car is going to take a really long time, especially with doing it by myself. Wet sanding is definitely one of my least favorite things to do, but I'm gonna go ahead and start reassembling this rear end and start wet sanding as much as I can. Now I'm sure some of you guys are thinking, why am I bothering putting this thing together if it's not even done being wet sanded and there's so much work left to do? Well, mainly the reason for doing this is just for purely rigidity. I don't want to be sanding on it and having the panels flexing and have the chance of having the paint crack. So what I'm doing is basically assembling the car, and I'm just going to very carefully do the edges, and I think that's just going to be the best way to go about doing this, because I would really hate for me to be sanding on it and then have something happen to the panel, because the Corvettes are pretty flexible, but when everything's together, it's relatively rigid, and I think this will at least kind of make everything a little bit less prone to crack. And then in addition to that, I just want to get this thing together as fast as possible, because I can do the wet sanding while everything's together, so that way at least this thing will be on the ground, drivable, and I can still move it around and also get the Cressida back over here so I can give some other space to the other cars. While waiting for some help to get this bumper properly fitted so that way it fits all nice, I went ahead and started doing one of these headlights, the headlight covers that is. So this one is pretty much entirely done with the 1500 grit. It's got another 2 stages to go, but for right now I'm going to do the entire car in 1500, and I think I'm going to go over it with 2000, and then from there 3000. But I'm going to move on to this headlight cover. I'm going to show you the entire process just with this one, so that way you can see pretty much how much it sucks. But realistically, I'll show you the little things that you have to look at while you're wet sanding, and pretty much, so that way you can kind of see the whole process with a little bit smaller of a piece, so that way it's not one really gigantic time lapse of me, doing something like the hood. This is kind of a little bit different than the rest of it. The whole reason I'm kind of able to do these on their own is because I'm able to hold these pretty good in my lap while I'm doing them, whereas bigger panels like these, I wish I could do them off the car. It'd probably be a little bit nicer and easier. However, just the point is, not only are they a little bit more flexible, but it's just I'm not able to hold them as well, and especially when they're on the horses don't really hold them all that well, and I don't want them falling off and scratching the paint or anything like that. So basically the way you're able to tell if this thing is wet sanded enough is basically all by reflection. Right now, if you look at the reflection, which you can kind of see a little bit, is there's a bunch of orange peel and there's little defects in the paint and everything. So right now it looks super glossy and everything, but essentially by the time we're done with this process anyways, it should look super dull and not shiny at all. However, when you get some water on there, then it should look almost a little bit glossy, but the whole point is it's through the polishing process where it's actually going to bring out the shine and everything. But right now we're basically trying to flatten everything. And I'm really only doing the very top portion of this. There's no reason to do the edges or anything like that. Basically, the only parts that are going to get polished are the only parts that I want to get wet sanded. And so now, even after all of that, this thing is not even close to done. This is maybe like a quarter of the way done with this sandpaper. But then, so the easiest way, this is pretty much what I found to be the easiest way, is to be able to look at the reflection. Obviously with all this stuff on here, you really can't see anything. So what you do is you take a squeegee, and as soon as you squeegee it off, and you look at the reflection, you're able to see all the little pits and everything and where you need to continue to work. You can see right there that there's still a lot of really lows, and it's panel is like not even close to being done. There's no area that's even really that close. Pretty much the whole point of this is just leveling out all of the clear, and from there you go do a higher grit sandpaper to make it a little bit finer, and then from there polishing. I am no expert at this, but this is just what I know to be the process. This is what I learned from George from the process of, you know, wet sanding with Frank's car, or the little bit that I saw at least. But anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out, and then I'll show you when I'm pretty much done with this as is. But then obviously after that, we're gonna have to continue on and do 2 more stages of this before we can even start polishing. It has been a while since I've seen this thing not crammed up in the other side. And man, I'm pretty excited to get working on this thing again, get those fender flares on there. But we gotta bang out this vet first.